Starting somewhere different for this video. I'm at the bottom of my garden. I think you've heard me talk quite often about the stream at the bottom of the garden. Well, here it is. It's pretty low at the moment because it's been fairly dry. This tree suffered in some strong winds the other day and it's split at the bottom, and a couple of the trunks are now leaning quite low over the garden, so I think I'm going to have to remove those. One other thing that I think I've written about in the comments is the outside toilets that I have, and this block in the garden is the outside toilets. I'm sure you're not really interested in it, but I'll give you a quick show. As you can see, there's one this side, and there's a wall that doesn't quite go up to the ceiling, and the other side of the block there is another door which leads into the other stall, if you like. That one's fallen off its hinges, unfortunately, so I can't really open that door very much. But yeah, we have two outside toilets back to back. Now, one thing I wanted to show you from this angle is my new satellite dish. We've been getting French TV through the normal aerial for a couple of weeks, but I bought a satellite dish and a free sat box, and we now have 140 channels of UK TV, which makes us feel a little more homely, I guess. One other thing I'm going to do very soon is deal with the render at the top here. I'm going to have to get some scaffolding, which I've got a friend who's got some. I'm going to scaffold up to there, and I need to fix that piece of render at the right there. There is a drain from the balcony just above it, and when it rains not very hard, the water runs down the wall and in through that hole above the window. So we need to sort that out before winter sets in this year. So that's on the job for in the next few weeks, or maybe even days. Back in the kitchen today, I'm finishing off boarding the ceiling, which involves putting insulation between the joists and then using the plasterboard lift to put the plasterboard in position. Screw it up. I have got some lights that I've got to remove and fit back in the new boards, but I thought I'd give you a quick look at what I'm doing. The insulation is 200mm thick. It doesn't quite reach between the floorboards and the ceiling, but it's pretty close. Probably do with 300mm in there actually. I'm already halfway through the ceiling. I've got the rest of the plasterboard ready to go up. Got the insulation, which I cut into 300mm or 12-inch width bits off the roll before I unwrap it, and then once it's unwrapped I can then cut it to length to fit in the gaps. It's going pretty well. I'm having to put a few battens in because the old ceiling was built and then the walls were put up to the ceiling, so sometimes there's not very much wood at the edges. The bit of the ceiling that was solid plaster and concrete for the fire above, I've chipped off enough of the plaster to fix some wooden battens to. This will give me something to screw the plasterboard to. I could have put plasterboard up to the old plaster and just blended it in. I didn't want to do that. I think there'd been a seam there that I'd have seen. I could have used adhesive to stick the plasterboard up on this bit, but again, that's something I've not done on a ceiling and I didn't want to try it out on my own house, so I've screwed wooden bits up on there. The junction between the wall and the ceiling will have coving or crown moulding, as you call it in America. I've only found polystyrene stuff so far in the DIY stores, but I will endeavour to find some good plasterboard coving to go up there. But I'm getting there with the kitchen ceiling at last, so catch you later. As if by magic, there we go, the ceiling is done. It's been a few days since the last video I shot in here. The ceiling has now got 200mm of rock wool insulation between all the rafters. I've fitted plasterboard over all of it. The joints have been taped and skimmed for the second time now. When I say second time, I don't mean they've been taped the second time, but they've been skinned the second time. They need a light sanding and then a third skim over the top. That should be the ceiling done. The lights around the outside are working really well. They shine right above the worktop. So I'm in the kitchen and I'm fitting the corner cupboard in correctly. It's been fitted into the back corner, which involved cutting a very thin slice off one of the protruding pieces at the back so it fits in. The corner is not exactly 90 degrees, no surprise there. But now I've got the corner cupboard actually in position. It's the right height and it's screwed back to the wall so it won't topple over. Not that I think it will anyway. The next stage is to fit these decorative end panels on to give it the colour that our kitchen's going to be, which is this nice grey, which, like I said before, matches fairly well in with floor tiles. These panels are oversized and they do that for a reason, so that you can scribe them in to make a good fit. I've stood it upright and with it clamped in position. I only need one clamp really to hold it. I scribed a line across the bottom. The floor, not surprisingly, isn't 100% dead flat. The bottom has been scribed and cut with a jigsaw. I have the piece that I cut off here. As you can see, it tapers off to one end to almost nothing. There's a lump in the middle, and it tapers off towards this end. By cutting that piece off, it now fits square against the floor. I then scribed a line up the back edge, and I've used a plane to cut that back, so that now fits nice and tight against the back wall. The next job is to cut the top off. You can see I've actually drawn a line across the top which I need to cut. What I did was I measured from the floor to the height of the wall panel, which I've got in the plans. I've done it at the front and back, and then took the highest of these two marks. As you can see, the front mark is slightly low. That's obviously to do with the slope of the floor, making the same distance from floor to the top of the panel different from the front to the back of the panel depending on where you measure it from. So I've gone to the tallest height and then scribed a line. That line's going to be where the wall cabinets fit. This cabinet is slightly short. I knew that. The Wickes do not do this cabinet any taller, but I can get taller wall units, so I'm having taller wall units and I'm going to fill in the gap across the top. But that's what I'm up to now. I'm now about to cut the top of this piece on, and then it will be screw it in, and that will be the first part fixed. I've been working on the cupboards. These cupboards are now all fixed in place with the decorative panels on. It's going to be a grey kitchen. The corner cupboard had to be put in first. I had to trim a small piece off the back so it fitted in the corner neatly. And from that one cupboard I was able to fit these two smaller cupboards in each side of the cooker, leaving the appropriate gap for the cooker. Again, there is a trim panel each side of the cupboard. You can see that, which finished it off nicely. These two have got drawers in, soft closed drawers. Still got to put the plinths around the bottom, and along this side I've put the base units in. Again, there's decorative panels on the end to give a nice finish to it. This end, because it's up against the wall, I've just used a piece of plinth because it's exactly the same colour and style as the end plates, but it's just a lot cheaper. The end two cupboards are fitted in place, screwed to the wall, don't move. This one is movable because I've got to put the pipework in for this sink underneath it, so that one needs to come out. And when the pipework's in, that cupboard can go in, and then the dishwasher can be connected up and fitted in its final place. That's got a false door to go on the front of it, so it matches in with the rest of the cupboards. But this coming week I shall be putting in pipework for the sink.